Hello and welcome to another episode of BlabberMouths. And with no more talking, we will start our BlabberMouth intro created by Jorge Rodriguez.
You are a blabbermouth! Ladies and gentlemen, I do not say blah, blah, blah.
Every time. Cracks me up. So speaking of that, the man, the myth, the legend, Jorge Rodriguez joined us, who is the newest member of Phys-Ed-Goji. So we talked about that. Welcome. We have Dr. Ballard is in the house. We have Rachel Winston, who is a PE virtuoso. Don't know you, Rachel, but it's glad that you came. Stacy Lovedoll, fantastic. Love having you here. A lot of edu-matchers on here. Of course, Sarah, the teacher. Jacob Royster, very excited Jacob's here. New face. Then, of course, Andy, myself, and the lovely Christy Kate from DC TV 430, which is our sister show. Sisters from Better Misters? I don't know. Something. Nick, what are we talking about this week?
It is going to be that time of the year where people are starting to get ready to head back to school. I know Nick Spencer, I believe, is already back. Yeah, Colorado, baby. I'm not sure if his students are back this week yet or not, or if it's just him, but yeah, people are starting to head back. So we're going to be talking a little bit about heading back to school, first week, first day, different things along those lines, what people are getting ready to doing to get ready to start the school year.
Absolutely. So we're talking about school, first day, first week. We have an open box that is a guest. If anybody wants to call in, feel free. Before we go any further, let's do some quick introductions. Who are you, Englishman on the top right?
Hey there, Andy Mellon. Andy finally found some time during the summer to come and join in with the Blab. Good to see so many people signing in, especially those who are out at the PE Institute. I can't believe you people cannot get enough professional development, and this one's free. So welcome. Looking forward to joining in the conversation today. Next.
I guess that'd be me. Yeah, for real. A lot of people were recently at PE Institute, and I think there's another conference, a couple conferences here over the summer. So, but it is that time to get your PD in during the school year. It can be hectic. So, my name is Nick. I teach K through 6 health and phys ed, and yeah, glad that everybody's here joining us tonight. I go back in 2 weeks, so we're getting ready. I was in at school today.
Nice. And I am Justin Schleider, thanking the Lord I live in Jersey because we are not going back till the 6th or something like that, which is great. We also didn't get out till, I don't know, June 20-something. So, it all works its way out in the end, although we are going through a massive construction project at my school that they are going nutty trying to finish before school. So I might not be there till like the 13th, and I might have about 3 days off for winter break. So with no more further ado, let's start talking first day of school. Keisha, if you want to join in, please feel free to call in. We love ourselves some Keisha over here. So first day of school, I'll start off with a little 1-minute rant, and then you guys can go from there. The kids are psyched up. So they're back in school. They're seeing their friends. They got the new clothes on, fresh haircuts. They are excited to be back. We haven't beat the excitement out of them yet. The monotony has not set in. So what do we do that first day when they come in? Sit down. Let's talk about the rules. What are the rules going to be? And then you get the teachers who go, well, you know what? I let my kids come up with the rules. And we as a class decide on the rules. Listen, people, I'm going to tell you simply, don't be rude. That's my rule on social media. That's my rule in my classroom. We'll sprinkle in a couple rules here and there with some of the procedures. I'm not sitting you down and going over a 15-minute consequence and rules and read your handbook. You just absolutely crush the students when you do that. So let's talk over here. Does anyone have anything cool they do? Right off the top of my head, kind of a rules Kahoot thing would be something that would be kind of cool. But let's go over what you do and then talk about what we think would be a cool way to go. So, Mr. Enlick,
All right, yeah, and the other thing too, Justin, especially for us, we teach multiple grade levels. I mean, K through 6, so I've seen them for 7 years. I really don't have to go over the same rules for 7 straight years. You know, they should have it. They should know what they're doing. Kindergarten's the only group that you have to go over everything with because they can't remember anything. So, I mean, that's half the school years. You're going over the same stuff constantly with them. But really after that, I don't really spend much time on it. I might go over a couple of things through games. So we do a couple of games where we just review boundary lines, start-stop cues with music, that sort of thing. Got some personal space games. Again, obviously elementary, secondary folks or non-PE folks, obviously it's might not be something that you worry about, but just those big things. And like you said, I don't have a laundry list of rules. I try to keep it as simple as possible.
Hi, Mr. Milne.
Well, you started off with a rant, and I'm going to start off with mine too. I'm seeing some really nice examples on Twitter of laminated, colorful rules and regulations that people are using in class. You're creating these rules before you've even met your students, so you don't even know what you've got in front of you yet. So, I mean, nice that you've got these lovely laminated items to put up in the classroom, but you're letting students know straight away that you're the boss and you're in charge. And I don't know whether that, certainly with my high school students, is what I want my kids to get out of my class. Day one for us is slightly different. We have a half day, so I only see students for 15 to 20 minutes. They walk their schedule. So it really is a brief introduction. But as you said, don't make day one what every other teacher in the building is doing. I mean, how many more times do you have to introduce yourself and say 3 fun things about you? I mean, that's dull. I'll get my students in health up and moving. Name games, they're going to come for the rest of that week. So are expectations as to how we're going to get the most out of the classroom. PE, oh goodness, my phys ed first day, assigned lockers, and then remind students to bring in a padlock. Day 2, take the padlock details, take the students to the locker and put the padlock on, remind those kids who forgot it that day 3, they really must bring their padlock in by that. By day 4, those students who are in sport that season are then going to sign out. So then I've seen them for 3 days and then I don't see them again until their sport is over. So it's really a mess for me. So that first week is very, very frustrating because I want to get started, and rules and regulations and administration kind of have one hand behind my back. As soon as I get going in the phys ed classroom, I'm going to get them up and moving, and make sure that they do know that this is what I expect from them. I certainly will snap down on tardiness and expect everybody to get out of their small groups and get to know each other and introduce themselves to each other as soon as possible.
Yeah. Andy, I got a question for you. So if your kids are in a sport, they don't have to take PE?
Okay, so Illinois is mandatory. It's the rule that kids in high school have to take 4 years of PE in Illinois. But in my school, if you're in season, you're out for your season. So coaches inevitably give us out their rosters like 3 or 4 days into the school year. So that's a frustration, right? So you have the kids and then they don't listen for the first 3 days because they know they're going to be out. And then they go out, then they come back, wave their state medals around. And then all the hard work I've done with all the kids and told them, this is new PE, this is 21st century PE. There's actually some learning going on here. Well, then they rock in and they're like, wait, what? But I'm a nice kid and I just showed up with my fresh sneakers. Don't I deserve an A? No, and I've just spent 3 months hammering that out of everybody else. So it's a tough gig. But as soon as their season's over, they're back in at my wife's school. She's also in Illinois. If you're in sport if you're in sport, you're out for the semester. So that's varsity athletes and the older JV kids, I think.
Does that count for golf too?
For golf, bowling.
What?
I don't think ultimate frisbee does. The club sports don't. So rugby doesn't. What else doesn't?
It should count for cheerleading. It should definitely count.
It does count for cheerleading. That's an IHSA sport.
Cheerleading's no joke. Where's Kristen Kate?
I'll go get my wife's medals, shall I? Every time there's an argument in the house, she just waves her state medals at me. So yeah, cheerleading wins every time in my house.
Cheerleading is no joke. You ever see them do a push-up for every touchdown, for every point scored? 48 points? Get out of here. Can't do all those. Anyway, so that's interesting to know. So for me, first day of school. Now, here's where you have kids showing up in their nicest shoes, their pretty flip-flops that are all dazzled and the other thing. So they're in no way, shape, or form ready to do anything super active. This year and last year, what I'm going to have them do is use Seesaw. So they'll log right into Seesaw. We'll get all that stuff out of the way. They'll take a picture of themselves, put on there. They'll write something on there. I forget what else, whatever the 3 or 4 things in Seesaw is, just to give them a little use of what Seesaw looks like, how it is, get those kinks worked out. The rules, I really don't have many rules. And like Nick said, I've had most of my kids for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. And I love my Seesaw. Leave me alone. There it is. Anyway, so we don't have to go over the rules too much. We go over don't be rude. That's my big one. Then I go over do not speak when I'm speaking. That's really the number one pet peeve I have as a teacher. Then I do a cool little game where we have them stand in the circle, and it's called Flinch Master, and it's kind of taking all their reaction speeds, and dulling them. So basically, they stand like this, and I get a ball. I'll be in the middle, and we go like that. And if they move their hands up, then they are out. And the last one standing is the new Flinch Master. So that's something that they really like. It's easy, enjoyable. And then they could say someone's name and do some name stuff in there. But basically, just trying to set the tone of this is going to be a good year. Couple expectations, but nothing that's too crazy of how to do that. So anyway, Mr.
Yeah, hey, Justin,
what's up?
one thing that I was going to add, you remind me, that first day, now for me and probably for you too, we run on a 6-day cycle. So like I see, the first 3 days of school are all the same for me, because that's when I saw the kids for the first time. So I get to do it 3 days in a row to start the school year. But I do a lot of what you do as well. I get them into like Google Classroom. I have them sign into that account, Seesaw as well, anything that we're going to use. And I kind of go through that stuff, just like you said, just so it's fresh, so that they know and they're ready to use it during the year. And then that way they're not prepared, they're not ready, they don't have their stuff. So, we'll do some team building stuff sometimes as well. So I'll do some, like team building or cooperative games. Some of that stuff that doesn't, require much in the way of, appropriate sneakers and all that sort of stuff. So sometimes I'll throw that sort of stuff in just to kind of get some activity in on that first day.
Melanie Lynch, and I know you've had Melanie on the show before, and maybe it was in a previous blab. She talks very passionately about using the start of the school year to get to know your students and really get to know your students, especially for us in a health context. I mean, we're going to get some discussions going on that really can be quite powerful. And she talks about how other teachers will mock her for spending time, not teaching, content, and yet getting to know the students. And yet later on in the school year, she's the one who gets the most out of her kids, and she's got the strongest relationships. So whatever you do, and I had a conversation with Bart Jones online today, and whatever works for you, and whatever works for your kids works for you, for your kids. And it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you get the best results and get to know your students. So, I can't say that my way is the best way, but it might be the best way for me, my teaching style, and the kids that I have in front of me.
Yeah, the New Jersey Teacher of the Year, Mark Friedrich, he talked about the same thing, and he had some really cool team building activities he did. He had paint chips that he would take, the paint samples. If you go to Home Depot and they have all these different colors, he put those in the middle and had kids like take one and explain, find the paint chip that most resembled them and find somebody else and explain it. I mean, just some really cool stuff. That was awesome. And he said the same thing. All his games were first couple weeks of school. And he said he spent a good week to 2 weeks just on relationship building because he realized that some kids did not know the names of the kids in the class halfway through the semester, halfway through the school year. How do you do that? I mean, at the elementary, I work at a very small school in a small town. They know each other since they were 3 years old. Everybody knows everybody knows everybody. So for me, that's not a problem, but it is realistic if you are from a large town that you don't know the people. And if you're not setting that up in your classroom, then you could be there all semester and have kids that don't know each other's names. So again, it's a really good point about Melanie and Mark, and both of these, National Teacher of the Year and State Teacher of the Year. It goes to show you that there is something to this relationship building that we really should take a look at, because we don't have the pressure to test. So then why are we acting like we do? Why do we sit there and go, oh, content, grade level outcome? Although we do have grade level outcomes that are effective as well that we can throw in there. But anyway, what else is up, Mr. Enlick, since you are in charge this week? This is the week that Enlick built. What do we have up next?
Well, we are kind of blending it a little bit. So I was gonna say one of the other things that I do as well, Justin, I believe you do it too, is you have kind of that get to know you assignment as well. So I'll have maybe 15 to 20 questions, and the kids will have to answer like 6, 8 of the questions. And it's just stuff like, what was your favorite thing that you did over the summer? What was one thing most people don't know about you? How do you like to learn? Do you like to learn by yourself, work in groups? Do you like it when it's loud? Do you like it when it's quiet? Like, how do you learn best? If your teacher could know one thing about you that would make this year great, what would it be? Just all those different things, just to kind of get a better feel for your kids before you start the year. And I always keep it's just a Google form, so I have those responses that I can always go back to and look at.
Hey, Nick, so I mean, that's a good idea. I know that Andy Horn, Adam Metcalf, Adam Lovo also do similar things, and they do it in the Google form. And I guess if you throw a couple of pertinent questions in there as well, you can then use those in the future for praise postcards. So, if you do something really good in class, who should I tell? And then they list a couple of people, and then you then send that praise postcard out, and it goes straight to that person as well. So, yeah, I've done the pen and paper version. I've done the Google version, but this year I'll do the Google form version and hope that I can then turn that into some form of.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a great idea. The other thing that I do is.
Andy, tell us a little more about the praise post.
So the praise postcard, and I'm not an expert in it whatsoever. Obviously, our good friend Adam is in right now in England. So you set up your Google form, and then you use Autocrat. You have a generic kind of fill in the blanks form that says X student has done Y in my class, and they wanted me to let you know that they had been successful in the class. And then using Autocrat, you can then auto generate that, so it pings out this praise postcard, a positive certificate, or just a nice letter that could go to their form teacher, their advisor, their head coach. And it's a really nice way. I mean, we've talked about this in the past. It's the nicest phone call to make home. It's the nice conversation to have with other teachers, is to let them know that their student, their son, their daughter has done a really good thing in class. And I think more of my phone calls back home pertain to positive things that have happened in the class, as opposed to.
Yeah, I love that. The good calls home. If you go search that hashtag, that is one by Rick Rowe, is a big one of there, which is a very nice gentleman out of Boston, I believe. and he's big on that. And I try to do the minimum of good calls home. I make every negative call that I have to make, there's a positive one that goes with it. And then on top of that, I try to tilt it in the favor of the positive calls home, which is fantastic. And I would put any communication in there. The praise postcard, send that out electronically or whatever would definitely fall under that. And yeah, Nick was talking about our beginning of the year forms. Yeah, I set up a Google form and they do fill out. For me, I want to know, what did they love last year? What did they hate last year? What did they not get to that they wanted to? Or what did they learn at a summer camp that they really liked that I should bring into the class? So that kind of stuff is huge. And then for me, number one, what is your favorite song? Because I think music is huge for relationship building. I mean, that kid knows when I go home, I download that song because I pay for everything. I never use YouTube to MP3. That would be wrong. So I get my playlist, and when it comes on in the gym, these kids are psyched up. And it just really helps build the relationship there. And they don't look at me quite so like I'm old when I play their music. So I think for me, that's huge. I also asked, do you have any other siblings? Because they don't always have the same last name. So I want to find out that in there. What else is there? And then I did ask last year, what did you think about taking more ownership, learning in your own hands to get the gauge of that? And one year I asked about sarcasm. What are your thoughts on sarcasm? Because I kept thinking, I kept hearing, sarcasm is the devil. Don't sarcasm. That should be ended. And I don't know. I'm a sarcastic individual. It's just part of my makeup. And none of my students said it was a problem. So I didn't worry too much about it. But yeah, just trying to find out, what do we need to improve? What did they like? What did they hate? And to go from there. Andy?
All right. I just kicked my kids out of the room. So one thing that I have to do that might be slightly novel is I have to do home visits. So I'm an advisor. So I'll inherit 25 boys who are sophomores, and I'll take them through as their advisor until they graduate high school. So I inherit a new group of boys this year. So I've just today started to set up 25 home visits where I spend half an hour with the parents and the boy, and we'll talk about how their freshman year went, and then what are their aims and aspirations, what difficulties might they have moving ahead, and I'll stay with that family for the next 3 years. So that's actually a really fun thing to do straight off the bat. So then any future communication with mom and dad is warm communication because I've already met them.
Now, how do you decide who the 25 are? Are they at-risk students?
No, they've been assigned to me. So we have an advisory system. So of my 5/5 that I teach, 1/5 is an advisory. So at the beginning of every day, I have this group of boys. So I'm kind of their advisor. I'll deal with some discipline. We have an advisor chair that kind of sits on top of that, but giving out information to students, helping them with their scheduling, liaison with teachers if they've had a difficult time in class. So any real issue, positive or negative, will come through me first. So I'm the go-to person for those 25 kids. And it's awesome. It's really powerful. I mean, at the end of I just took my first group through, and some of the letters I got from the boys and their parents were tear-jerking.
That's pretty cool. I like that. That's huge with relationship building right there. And every teacher has assigned 25 kids?
If you're an advisor, yes. And we have 4,000 kids in this school, so about 1,000 students in the year. So yeah, so there are advisory positions. So I've got 25. Like I said, I'll meet them in the morning from 8:15 till 8:40. Some of it's hanging out, get to know the kid, and some of it is, dealing with issues, conversations that are in the media. There's a ton of work that we can do, but we're given pretty much free reign to do whatever we think is best to get to know the students and shape the next 3 years ahead.
That's every day, every morning from 8:50?
Every day, yeah. We've been doing it since the early 1900s, and it's one of the things that makes our school a beacon school.
Wow, I didn't realize you were that old.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's pretty cool. And I know Krista Cates down there would love to see a little documentation on the program. That's definitely a cool idea. I like that. Do you do any, kind of feedback, first day of school things from there when they come in your health class? about, how do you like learning? What do you like to learn? What do you hate about health? What do you know about?
I like, because our students also have health as freshmen as well. They do 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. So I do ask students what was taught in the class. What do you think the personal bias was of the teacher that taught you? So we talk a little bit about what was going on that campus, and then we talk about how my teaching style might, it might be different from what they've experienced already. But that comes later on. I mean, these are conversations that you can reinforce Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, roll it on to the following week. I don't think you have to sit down and bombard the students with all of the information off the bat, because you just keep reinforcing it throughout the semester that you have with the students. Then they know what the expectations are. Plus, my kids are older than your kids, so if I get my phys ed kids are 17 and 18, they already think they know the rules. They already think they know what PE is. I just have to tell them how my PE is compared to their previous experience.
So let's get back to this. 8:15 in the morning, they roll up. No content you need to teach. Let's sit around in a circle.
So that's my time. So I'll take attendance. I'll pass out. And then there may be a video to show. I played around with TED Talk Tuesdays when we had a big discussion within the school on race during our Martin Luther King Day. We would work our way up to that. So there would be conversations. As the boys get older, teachers do some of the male advisees will do things like how to tie a tie, how to change a spare tire on a car, how to have a firm handshake, like the rules to becoming a gentleman. So we have free reign to do whatever we see fit.
Could you do Foursquare?
I could do Foursquare. I don't like it. There's intra advisee sports. There's dodgeball, which I always shy away from for many reasons. There's a ton of stuff going on. It's a good time.
That's fun because I work at a summer camp, and one of my favorite times is just sitting around with the kids and just saying, "What's going on? What did you do this weekend? What are you doing this week? Anything cool?" And just kind of getting to know the kids because there's no pressure. And I mean, some of it I'm just wasting time because the activity is going to get them for 25 or 30 minutes. But it really does help me figure out the students and what's going on there. So I love that, sitting around just talking, going, "Hey, what's going on in your lives? Anything to deal?" And really establishing that relationship with no pressure. So that's cool. I like that. I like that a lot. All right. So first day of school. Does your school do anything as a school? Do you have any programs? Do they all sit in the wherever auditorium? Do they sit in the gymnasium? Any of that stuff? Does the whole freshman class get together and listen to the, superintendent tell them how great their next 4 years are going to be as long as they're good little citizens or any of that?
Yeah, for us, sorry, Andy. Really, the only thing is our very first day of school, our kindergartners have orientation. So they're not there the first day. Half of them come in the morning, go through the whole deal, I don't know. They just go through a bunch of stuff for like an hour and a half and go home. And then another group comes in the afternoon. But other than that, we don't do anything crazy. It's just get in and get going.
We have a pep rally, so they'll get the sophomore class in together, and they'll just try and drum up some school spirit, let them know when the first couple of sports events are that are coming up, throw a few free T-shirts into the crowd, just to get the school spirit nice and high, and positive during the first week back.
Yeah, I don't think we do much. We do the day before school starts, when teachers are just finishing their classrooms, we do the meet and greet. So the kids will come in, we get Rita's water ice, they eat that, they walk around the school, say hello to all the teachers, check out the stuff, the parents are there. They might drop off like a box of tissues or something they want to donate to the class if we do that. But the actual first day, we don't do much of anything out of the ordinary. So I like that. All right, Nick, any other questions you want to go? Do you want to go with what advice would you give new teachers?
Yeah, it's definitely one. Every year you got a slew of new teachers coming in. They're probably all nervous and excited and everything else all at once. So, I think what advice for any new teacher in any classroom, what do you think your best piece of advice would be for them to start the year off with a bang?
All right, so the crowd over here says have lesson plans and be flexible. I like that. And by the way, this is going to be used in a college class. We have Dr. Ballard in here who's going to take the podcast when it comes out and give it to her students. So a little shout out to the Ballardites. Would that be what they are? Dr. Ballard. But anyway, so I do like that about lesson plans and be flexible. For me, it would be, and again, we don't have the testing pushing down on us in phys ed and health. So I would really take the temperature of what are your kids engaged in? Find that out in the first day or two. What is really fun for them? You know, if you had a question that would be something like, if you could do anything with physical activity, what would it be? Or maybe if you're literacy, if you could read any type of material, what would it be? And if you're in elementary school, maybe you do, you say comic books, magazines, books, whatever, that kind of stuff. And that'll help you gauge what you could do either as the carrot for, all right, if you give me 30 minutes of doing this, I'll give you 7 minutes at the end of class of this. I use that a lot with my adaptive PE kids. Give me 10 minutes of hard work. I'll give you 5 minutes of any activity you want to do, and then we go back. Give me 10 more minutes. I'll give you 5 minutes, and that stuff. And you can't know your kids until you talk to them and ask them what's going on. So for me, that would be my advice: is try to get as much information as you can, and ignore everything the previous teacher said about those kids. Don't even read it. Those teachers are going to have their hang-ups. They have their things. I wouldn't even sit there and worry, well, this kid, blah, blah, blah. No. I mean, you get enough in IEPs for your kids are there that is even more than we need. Because when you read those things, then we start to prejudge our students. And the way we deal with our kids is going to be completely different than the way other teachers deal with the kids. So do not just sit there and go, well, this is the synopsis of last year, and Johnny had a hard time with calling out or impulse control. It's a whole nother year. 4 months passed since then, or 3 months, and they changed. They might have went on meds. They went on off meds. Maybe they grew, and you have no idea. So that would be my advice. Ignore everything every other teacher says about them and make your own judgments based on what you're looking at.
Justin, that might be the best advice I've ever heard you give. I think that's fantastic, especially if we're now speaking to new teachers. On the right-hand side of our screen, I think that's Heidi Carr. She's saying, make sure you stay consistent and follow through. And she says, check out hashtag #NTChat. So, yeah, if you are a new teacher, then certainly reach out to other new teachers, because you're all going through a shared experience that maybe other people can't remember going through. If you are a new teacher, you probably have a ton of really good ideas that you learned in college that you're determined that you're going to go ahead and impose on those kids and bring to the school. Be patient. You've got a long career ahead of you. Don't rock the boat too early. Speak to those wise old heads around you. I was convinced when I first came out of college that I knew everything. And now 21 years later, I don't know anywhere near as much as I'm yet to learn. So just be patient. There's a long time teaching coming.
Yeah, and for me, I think the biggest thing is you need to come with that enthusiasm, excitement from get-go, because you're starting. They don't know you. If you're new and they've never had you and they don't know you, you need to show them that you're all in, excited about what you're doing and what you're teaching, because your excitement, passion, everything else is just going to, it's just going to rub off on them. And yes, being planned, being prepared, especially for the start of the year, very important, because that way you're you know exactly what you're doing, but you got to bring that passion, you got to bring that excitement and energy to your class from day one.
Yeah, and it all goes back to relationships, really. And we hear it all the time. They don't remember what you taught them. They remember how you made them feel. Well, hopefully they remember some of what I taught them, or else I'm not doing my job. But in general, they want to know that you like kids. You want to be around kids. You like them. make them feel valued. So worry less about the cognitive part, more about the affective. No matter who you are, no matter what subject it is, start trying to get to know your kids on that real personal level of what they like, what they don't like. And then from there, you can figure it out, because that's the art of teaching. And, you know, we talk about the science of teaching, which Nick talked about. You want to be prepared. You want your lessons. You want all that. Wonderful. The art of teaching is, hey, how do I know my students? And then how do I use that knowledge to reach them? And that's really the art. And that's why we will never be taken over by computers. All right. Closing thoughts over there. Why don't we go Mr. Enlick first? Closing thoughts.
All right. So as the school year approaches, like I said, I started going in here today, so I'll be in a bunch this week. And I got 2 awesome professional development sessions coming up before school starts. Wednesday, I go to a conference and have a couple of sessions with Dr. Pengrazi. So that'll be for free, which is even better. So that's going to be awesome. So it's Wednesday, Pengrazi, Dr. Witherspoon. I'm not sure who she is. I'm not too familiar with her, and another teacher as well. So that should be pretty good. And then another one the following week, more local, but supposed to be a pretty good conference or single day, I guess, workshop. So pretty good.
You talked about professional development. If you following me on Twitter as Carmel Health, check out hashtag Send a Teacher. So I put together this fundraising initiative. Teachers can't afford to go to professional development often, and the opportunity to go to the national conference is out of reach for many teachers. If you go to www.sendateacher.com, you can purchase a range of PE and health t-shirts, with 100% of the profits going to sending one teacher to the national conference who would not normally be able to attend due to a lack of financial support from the school or district.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And again, let me reiterate, 100% of the profit. Andy's making nothing. This is literally all going to send one teacher who would not be able to afford on their own to go to the national conference in Boston. So really cool idea over there. And for me, with our parting thought, the same thing I say every week. Thank you for listening if it's the podcast. Thank you for watching if it's on the YouTube channel. And if you are participating in the Blab, we super appreciate you for giving us your time and effort. You're all wonderful. And the fact that you spend any amount of time listening to us 3, I'll say, pseudo intellects over here, it amazes me, and we appreciate it. So thank you very much. And have a good morning, good evening, or good day, depending on where you are. Thank you.